Syriac has got three established scripts. Aramaic has got three established scripts. We have Estrangula, East Syriac and West Syriac. So where does Karshon come in? Karshon is nothing but Malayalam texts written using Syriac script, and this was practiced by Marthoma Christians of Kerala along with the Western missionaries who came in after the advent of Portuguese. So, as I'll explain later, Syriac, which has got only 22 letters, cannot be a representative of Malayalam, which has got 51 letters. So because of this, new alphabets had to be created. So initially we had 8, then we had additions further, and as you see, when you deal with modern Malayalam, you may require even more letters to be incorporated from modern Malayalam. So this is just a representation of the three classical scripts. There's Extrangula is there, then the East Syriac, which is Madanhaya, and then the Serto. The three scripts are seen very well. And then the last one is Karshon. Why do I say Karshon? This is written as Marthoma. Then you can see Sliha written there. Okay, Sliha and then Glila. So this is from a Karshon text. Now, how do you understand this Karshon? Now, Karshon as such was initiated or introduced when Arabic was written in Syriac alphabets. Now, there was a reason for this. With the advent of Islam, Christianity faced a decline in entire Middle East, and then there was a question of identity. There were dwindling numbers. So then that is the time, as a part of establishing their own identity, the Christians of Middle East decided to use Syriac letters to represent Arabic. And because of this, so many books were written in this particular Karshon, and this was called Karshon. Now, there are different opinions about how this name came in. According to Kunamakal Toma Katnar, this is established after the name of a Syrian who actually invented this technique. Now, as you understand, besides Arabic, there are also other languages where you can use Syriac alphabets, and the two of them are, of course, Armenian and Malayalam. And our topic of interest is Malayalam Karshon. And as we all know, Malayalam Karshon was mostly written in East Syriac. Only in the late 19th century and early 20th century do we get some instances where West Syriac was used as part of Malayalam Karshon. And what is the time period when this was initiated? As of now, we are not very sure about the exact origin of Karshon in Kerala. But from the records, it is very clear that this dates to pre-Diamper period. That means we are talking about the second half of 16th century. There are enough documentary evidences to prove that Karshon was very much prevalent in Kerala in the pre-Diamper period. So that means from second half of 16th century to around 19th century, Karshon held its way, and the decline of Karshon, we'll come to it later. And as you all know, the Council of Diamper and the canons of the Council of Diamper were written in three languages. One was Malayalam, the other one was Karshon, and the other one was Portuguese. So these three copies were there, that is in the year 1599. So we have clear-cut evidence of that, and then there are lots of people studying the original Karshon manuscript of the Council of Diamper. And before I go into the details of Karshon, there are some pioneers who actually contributed to make Karshon relevant again. When I say this, we all know that there is something called Arabi Malayalam, where Arabic is represented using, or Malayalam is represented using Arabic letters. And for quite some time, people were of the opinion that there was nothing called a Karshon or a Malayalam Karshon. And that is the time when Kunamakal Toma Katnar came forward and started talking about Malayalam Karshon. And if you go back, Van der Ploeg, where he documented the Syriac manuscripts of India, he had mentioned about 1 or 2 Karshon manuscripts. And that time, he had interacted with the famous Syriac grammarian of that era, that is Thomas Arethanal. And according to Van der Ploeg, it was only Thomas Arethanal who could read Karshon at that time. And we go back further, the last 2 decades, Istvan Purcell has been here in Kerala, and he had met George Kurikur, and he said only George Kurikur can read Karshon. Now these are all may not be true, because it's just that these people met only a few. There are enough people who were literate in Karshon. So this is a classical article, an introduction to Malayalam Karshon, where Kunamakal Toma Katna discusses the nuances of Karshon, and this is part of the MA Syriac curriculum as established by Mahatma Gandhi University. This is Istvan Purcell. He worked further on this. He has come to Kerala, India many times. He has documented, recorded, photocopied many documents, of which he has got a rich collection of Karshon manuscripts. And following which, he calls it as Karshoni. This is other name. So he has written a classical article, a witness to an early stage of Indian Christian literature. This is Father Emmanuel Artel, who's got a doctorate in Malayalam. This is his famous book, Veda Tarkathinte Bhasha Shastra Bhumiya. Here actually, this is Veda Tarkam is a book written apparently by Mark Ariatil in Karshon, and this book was further transliterated into Malayalam, and then this book was analyzed further. So this is the publication by Father Emmanuel Artel. This again was a great contribution towards Karshon literature. This, of course, we know, Conrad John Abraham Malpan. He has written a famous article in a book called Scripts Beyond Borders about Malayalam Karshon, and he calls it as an example of cultural exchange. And then we move on to VP Marcos, who is a Malayalam professor at UC College Alway, who did an original research on Karshon, and he got his PhD thesis approved from Calicut University, and this is the publication which has come out, Karshoni in the Suryani Malayalam. This was published by the Tunjatheduthan Malayalam University. And finally, we have a student of Istvan Purcell, that is Sharanya Chandran from Kerala, who had her MA in Kaladi Sri Shankara University, went on to Central European University at Vienna, where she worked under Istvan Purcell, and she did a study on the Malayalam scripts, the medieval Malayalam scripts. But she was diligent enough to include Karshon along with Arabic Malayalam as part of medieval Malayalam scripts. So those are the articles. That's her PhD dissertation thesis, not PhD, MA dissertation thesis, and where she deals with Karshon in detail. So what I want to say is that Karshon is not something of the past. Karshon is very much alive now, and people from across the world, they're working on Karshon. Now there are various theories about why Karshon was introduced. The theory which now holds good is in 16th century, Malayalam script was not properly developed. So that was one of the reasons which prompted Marthoma Christians as well as the missionaries who came across to develop this Malayalam Karshon. And then there was always a question of understanding Malayalam. In fact, it was easy to learn Syriac, and then it was easy to get prayer books translated into Karshon and then to be read by Western missionaries. So these are the two theories which are now in favor of why Karshon was introduced in 16th century. Now the question comes again, 22 verses 51. Adapting East Syriac to Malayalam. Now how do you do that? You adopt all the vowel systems of East Syriac. You adopt all the rules of East Syriac system, including end, noon or end meme or end kaf, all those rules you apply. You apply all the rules where some of the letters may meet, some of the letters may not join the letter on the left side. So all these rules are held good, and then in addition to that, you adopt 8 or 9 new alphabets. Now that is the East Syriac script, and we know about the classical 3 letters which has got different forms in the middle and end. So that's the kaf is there. You can see the middle kaf and the end kaf, where it joins and where it does not join. And then we have the meme, that is the end meme. And then we have the noon, which has got 3 forms, where one can join, the other is without joining, and this joins at the end. So these rules are held good. So what it means is the East Syriac script is adopted as such. Now these are the letters which do not join with their on the right side. And now coming to the additional letters. In fact, with 51 letters, we know that Malayalam is a complicated language. So these are the letters which were newly introduced for Karshon. But actually they are not really newly introduced. They all form part of the ancient script called Koledith. So this was adopted from Koledith. And there were 2 letters which are adopted from Aryedith, which is the pre-script of modern Malayalam. So that is Sha and La and Ra. And now we have also adopted Bha for Bharadam. So these are all the letters where you can see that is Nga, that is Kai, Ka, Gai, Ka, Nga. So it's a small Nga there. And that is Nya. That is after Tai, Ta, Dai, Cha, Jai, Cha, Nya. And that is Ta, which is, these are all letters which are not available in Syriac. That is Na. And then Na. Syriac has got noon, so Na is there, but Na is not there. And in fact, Malayalam, most of the letters where we use this, it starts with Na. So that is an important letter which had to be introduced. So we have Resh, which can represent Ra, but then we never had to write Malayalam properly, we require Ra, so that Ra was introduced. And Ra and Sha could be incorporated, and La is again another word, because another letter which had to be introduced, because many letters, our La is a very common letter which has to be used. And Il, in fact, either it could be used or Lamad itself is enough. Last part of Lamad, we can read it as Il. And then combination letters, like for example, Inta. So where what was done is Noon and Resh were joined together. So, and then another important letter was Cha. Again, gets repeated in Malayalam quite often. So instead of introducing a new letter, what was done was Sheen was taken to represent Cha. And then in the modern Malayalam, when we write this, to make it easier, we can actually add a line above, a small horizontal line above this Sheen, to make it appear that this is not Sheen but Cha. And these are all combination letters, where once you know what is Nya and once you know what is Cha, this can be easily combined together. And same way, Inda, where already you have Na and Ta, so that can be joined together. So this is the other representations where you can see clearly how these letters are written, how already codes have already been made. So that is Nya there, Ja has been introduced like that itself, that is Nya of Nyan, and then that is Ta, that is Na, then that is Na, this is Bha, we can use the entire form of the Bha itself, and that is Ra there, this is La, then Ra and Sha, and different representations of that. So when we come to Syriac letters, Alap stands for A, which is very simple, and for that just the vowels is the same manner the vowels are used. Alap represents A, and when we come to base, it can be base or ba, or when we put a dot under, it can be made into soft base, that is va. And Malayalam we commonly use va. So in Karshon, most of the times va is represented not by vav but by soft base. So that is how va is represented. And then Gamal represents ga, which is already there. And in Karshon manuscripts, sometimes Gamal is also used for ka of Megham. And then Dalats would represent da, which is commonly used. And then he, vav is usually used for as a sound, as a vowel. He, thes, again an equivalent in Malayalam would be tha, which is part of katha. And yod, of course, as part of vowel and otherwise also. Then kap is there. Kap represents ka, as I already said. Then lamad is there, which represents la or il. Meme, of course, we know meme is used as ma, or wherever you want to use meme can be used. And other letters follow like that. Vowels I have already said. Now coming to modern Malayalam. Now what is the big difference? The big difference is, in older Malayalam or the ancient Malayalam, we used to have doubling for many of the letters. In modern Malayalam, we have given up this practice. Especially when you have combination letters, we used to have doubling of the first letter, which is no more there. So that makes it very easy to write modern Malayalam or to render modern Malayalam in Karshon. But doubling is a common factor. So what we do is, whenever we put a small horizontal line under the letter, that indicates doubling. And in Malayalam, when we have words, normally like in Syriac, we don't end in a, or at times we have to differentiate between in and na. So these are all possible in modern Malayalam. Why? Because if you write a noon at the end, not an end noon, a middle noon, it means that the word is ending as with a vowel, that is avana, where you use just the noon, the normal noon. But if you want to write avan, then you have to use one of the end noons. So that means either joining, so it is base there, you can join, so it be the end noon which joins. So that is avan. So that is the concept. These are all concepts are very, very simple. So in order to practice this, I thought of writing or rendering modern Malayalam into Karshon. So to help me out, Kunamakal Thoma Kathanar had done a translation of the Gospel of Marcos from original Pishita. So it was available with me. So started doing this Gospel, and by the grace of Allah, I could complete this project within around 6 months. And so that is the reason why I am here. What one has to do is, this is simple, based on phonetics of each of the word. If you have a Malayalam word, you think of the phonetics behind it, what are the sounds which are involved. The equivalent Syriac letters are there already. We have added on more letters, so it is not a difficult task at all. And as I said, va is represented by soft base, and wherever sa comes, in fact you know that in Syriac we have 3 sounds with sa. Samakas is there, sada is there, so sign is there. So in Malayalam, to make things more easier, wherever sa comes, we use semakas. And then whenever we use original Suryani words, like for example Isho, or where you use Matai, where you use Yohanan, we stick by the Suryani spelling itself instead of doing it in Malayalam. And combination letters are based on which is the combination, what is the part of this combination. So based on that you can do it. Now challenges were there, especially to differentiate between sheen and when you make it into cha. So as suggested by Josuti, we went on to add a horizontal line above sheen so that it could be read as cha. And then when you want to represent other letters like ka of Megham, you can actually use kap and then draw a line on top of it to indicate that this is not simple kap but it is ka. And then dha of Dhanam, that was another letter which was not there, but in modern Malayalam it is quite common. So we had to adopt dha from modern Malayalam. And finally also sha and ra were also adopted. So the rules are very simple. Doubling, you place a small line under the letter. For sheen, you place a letter above and make it into cha. Then Malayalam words ending with a, do not use a vowel there. And always try to use Syriac spellings for all the Syriac nouns. And whenever sa comes, instead of soft tav, use semicus. And whenever you have combination letters, understand what is the combination. For example, inga in the word engil. So how do you split inga? Inga is actually the small nga of kai ka gai ka nga and then ka. So then when you write Karshon, you should adopt that small nga there and then add a kap to it, so it becomes inka. So that is the concept. Now these are some of the representations where you can do. So now this will be read as, this is alap, base, resh, kap. So this is read as our ka. Now this is end kap, but then end kap is not used because there is a doubling there and there is an air sound also there. So that is our ka. Alap as made into a, then base you put a dot underneath, made it into va, soft base, ava. Then resh is there, then kap is there, our ka. So for that, to make it double ka, you have put a double, so that's a doubling line there. So this will be read as our ka. Now, and then this one, this is alap, a, again va. So this is en noon, avan. It will be read as avan, as simple as that. And this is aval, very simple. Va, so that's a new letter which has been introduced, aval. If you want to make it avale, you put the two dots underneath. Now, if you want to read it as aval ka, what you have to do is add this double kap just next to this. So because la is not having any vowel, you will read it as la, il, aval ka. So the rules are very simple, just have to understand the phonetics. Now this is just to show you the combination words. This is a, this is ta, a do. Now this is ta which has been doubled. So this is eduttu. Now this is kap. So this is o, so eduttu ko. So then this is na and this is ta, eduttu konda. If you add a vav here and put a dot underneath, it is eduttu kondu. Because you have not added any vowel, it is very simple, eduttu konda. You have stopped there. You have not added any vowel, so it will be read as a, eduttu konda. So this is how you write combination letters, eduttu konda. So this way it becomes very simple as long as you understand the phonetics, or as long as you understand the Malayalam word clearly. It is not that difficult at all to write Karshon. Now, as I already said, there are West Syriac Karshon also. So the same rules can be applied, and Karshon can be written in using West Syriac alphabets as well. Okay. Now just a representation of this. This is how that is the Malayalam given there, and that is the handwritten Karshon there. Okay. This is the last chapter of the Gospel of Marcos. I am not going to read this. So what I would want to suggest is, this throws up lot of possibilities. Now already we talked about Karshon font. Binu is working on that. Already George Girasa and Istvan Persla are working on that. And the problem now is the new letters which have been adopted into Karshon are not able to join together with the original Syriac letters. So that is being looked into. And once that is there, we can actually type Karshon using our computers. And Karshon can be popularized. How? We can have an online magazine of Karshon. It is very simple. Even if somebody writes something in Malayalam, you can convert it into Karshon, provided you have the typing letters and the tools. And you can have Karshon mobile apps where you can send messages in Karshon among friends. And some of the prayer books which we have can be converted into Karshon prayer books so that it becomes easy. And places where Syriac is being taught, you can have signboards in Karshon. And as I said, famous articles or books can be converted into Karshon, so that it's not only a question of Karshon, it also improves upon our Syriac knowledge. And finally, research possibilities are immense, because already some of the Karshon manuscripts have been documented. You can have a critical reading of Karshon, which Hendo Academy under the leadership of Josuti is attempting. And lot of articles and presentations can be there, and this is a rich mine of information. Finally, to conclude this, Malayalam Karshon is a way of writing Malayalam using Syriac alphabets, incorporating few more alphabets from Malayalam, from Koleduth and Aryaduth. And this is an indigenous contribution of Marthoma Nasranis to Syriac. There is no doubt about it. This has developed in this country. So this is a lasting contribution of Marthoma Nasranis to the Syriac world. And this shows, this is a manifestation of their filial love for Syriac. Otherwise they did not have done this. So this shows the inherent love of Marthoma Nasranis for Syriac. And I want to re-emphasize this. There is a treasure house of undiscovered Karshon manuscripts, which people have to painstakingly go through, understand, analyze, and reproduce them in Malayalam as well as in English. So this critical reading not only is going to improve our knowledge, this is going to lead to new insights and refute false claims which are there, and also the false accusations. And finally, I would like to say that as this is a common heritage of all Thomite churches, so as Marthoma Nasranis, we are duty bound to protect, nourish, nurture, promote, and propagate Karshon. So that should be our goal, that should be our duty. So as I conclude, for this, Adina Alaha Namale Sahayikate. അതിന് ആലാഹ നമ്മളെ സഹായിക്കട്ടെ. വായിക്കാവോ? അതിന് നൂൻ വിച്ച് ഇസ് എ ബിറ്റ് ലോങ്. ആലാഹ നൂനാണ്. ആലാഹ നമ്മളെ, ദിസ് ഇസ് നാ, ദിസ് ഇസ് മീം, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ഡബിൾഡ്. ലാ നമ്മളെ, ദിസ് ഇസ് സെമക്കസ്, ഹേസ്, സഹായി, ദിസ് ഇസ് ഹാ, ഈ, ദിസ് ഇസ് കാപ്പ് വിച്ച് ഇസ് ബീൻ ഡബിൾഡ്, ടാ വിച്ച് ഇസ് ബീൻ ഡബിൾഡ്, സോ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ബിക്കം ടേ. സോ സഹായിക്കട്ടെ. അടുത്ത വരി വായിക്കാവോ? അല്ല, ഇത് ഹേസാണ്, ഹായാണ്. റേഷ് ദാല യാ യോദാണ്. എൻഡ് മീം ഹൃദയം, ഹൃദയം. ഇത് നിറഞ്ഞ, നീ, ഞാൻ ഡബിൾ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നു, ഹൃദയം നിറഞ്ഞ. ഇത് നന്ദി, ഹൃദയം നിറഞ്ഞ നന്ദി, ഹൃദയം നിറഞ്ഞ നന്ദി. താങ്ക് യു ഓൾ.